All right, let's take a look at what else we can do now that we've got that set up. So there's our car sitting in the middle of the screen. We couldn't see it before, it was way off. There's a movie file here called Gordon's Head. Now, there's some problems with Gordon's Head. So what we're going to do is we're going to initially take it and we're going to use it to create a new composition by dropping it on that little new composition button there, which is between that file and that little rocket symbol. What that's going to do is going to open it up as a new composition called Gordon's Head, and you can see it there. So Car Ride is our new master composition. Gordon Head's nested composition, which will be eventually a nested composition. But first we got to do some work to it. Some of the biggest problems is the fact that it doesn't really kind of fit the composition sizes that we really want to use, because we're going to go back to this Car Ride and master composition, and we're going to make changes to this composition settings again. As a matter of fact, we're not going to use NTSC at all. We're actually going to go in here and we're just going to do some custom settings here. And what we'll do is we'll basically go half that size. So we'll go 360, and you can see the aspect ratio is linked up, which is great. 360 by 240, which is really the size that we want it to be. So you get an idea now. That's the actual size that we want this composition to be. And again, if we go to Gordon's Head, you can see if we go to the composition and we go to composition settings here, it's like, whoa, it's like, NTSC DV. So we're going to have to make those same changes in here. So when we do that in here, something really bizarre is going to happen. So when we go 360 by 240, we're going to click OK. And what happens is, you see how it crops it, right? Which is fine. But I don't really want that to be the case. But again, that's not a big deal, because if I select Gordon's Head layer down here, I can go up here to layer, and under layer, I can go to transform, and I can go fit to comp, which will basically kind of return it to the way it was. Some of the other problems with this particular movie file is that it's kind of wrong in the way it was shot. Basically, I'm supposed to have this movie of Gordon talking, this is what it is. And it's supposed to be like a profile, but obviously it's not shot as a profile. So this is where I'm going to have to use some trickery here. And that's why there was an animation preset that was given to us. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to deselect that layer here, and I'm going to go basically layer new, and I'm going to choose a special kind of layer in here. And the type of layer I'm going to grab is called the shape layer. Now right now there's really nothing in there. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to basically kind of take and create a shape layer that's going to fit in there. So shape layer 1, I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go up to animation, and what I want to do is I want to go to apply animation preset, and that's going to take me back to my selections, which is what I want to do now, is go into that L5 project folder and into that animation preset folder, and that head shape, that's what I want. So I'm going to take that head shape animation preset, and I'm going to apply it to that layer, and you're going to see what looks like a kind of a P, but the reality is that it's not really a P. It's basically what is called a matte. And a matte is basically like a cutout. And right now that cutout isn't really working the way we want it to. So we're gonna change the way that works. And again, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go down to that circle over square button to expand these properties here. And what we'll do now is we're going to go to that Gordon's Head movie. And what we're going to do is we are going to basically kind of create a Gordon's Head movie, and where it says track matte, we're going to use that now by going, and from the selection, we're going to select Alpha Matte Shape Layer 1. So Alpha Matte Shape Layer 1, which is going to flip. So now you can see how that matte alpha matte or alpha channel, because they're all the same things. And what that's doing is basically throwing away all the other stuff in that video layer that I didn't want. And it leaves me with something that gives me the impression that Gordon is kind of looking at me from a profile, because he's supposed to be driving the car, and the way it was shot wouldn't make any sense. So this is just a little trickery that's going to kind of help us to make this work. Now, of course, what we need to do is we need to take this composition and we need to make it kind of fit into our master composition. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go back to the car ride, and what we're going to do is there's a layer called head that's already there. So we're going to select that, and what we're going to do is we're going to do the following. And because I'm using Mac, I'm going to do a Command Option plus the / and if you're using Windows, it would be Control Alt. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be able to take this effect. But first off, I got to go to the project here. And what I got to do is I got to select the Gordon's Head composition, right? Which was the new composition I created from Gordon's Head movie. Now I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go Command Option, and I'm going to look for my / and hopefully what that will have done is it will have taken that head and put it in there. Now, of course, I need to kind of look at that and see if my position values have been kind of messed up, and because they have, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Gordon's head and I'm going to move it in there, and I'm actually going to maybe adjust it a little bit so it's kind of sitting in the car, which is basically what I want it to do. So you can see how I basically swapped this composition into this layer called head, which now makes Gordon kind of stay in to this composition the way I want it to. And now what we're going to do is we're going to basically use parenting so that the head layer moves with the car. So and when I make changes to the car, which is of course its own layer, it'll follow along. So where it says head layer, it says parents currently none. I'm going to change it so it says a number 2 artist. So when I make changes to the artist layer, head's going to move in sync with it, which is exactly what I want it to do. So now we're going to go File, Save As, and we'll call this version 6. And I'll make sure it's saving into my end project folder. Okay.